Take 3 of Al Bumble Podcast.
It appears to be working, so let's get on with it.
Yay! Hello, everybody. This is a late night version of Al Bumble.
It's the Al Bumble office party.
Yay!
Where
Woo!
I've been busy photocopying my arse all
I
afternoon.
hope you haven't.
Unfortunately, that was down at the library, and I've now been barred. But
Again.
Yeah. What can I say?
Well done, everybody, for getting through a year.
Yes.
I think.
Because this will be our first episode of the future.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Vogue. We're not doing that sketch again.
No.
Right, we did that in the first version that we did.
Oh, don't let them glimpse behind the curtain.
But we won't go.
Because
we won't tell you about that.
This is normally such a slick and professional production.
Yes, we don't make mistakes.
No, absolutely not.
In fairness, we didn't make a mistake. The computer made a mistake, didn't it?
If you
At least that's
so,
how
yeah.
I'm
right okay.
writing it.
Yeah.
Yes. So today's Al Bumble podcast, my choice of the Mansun 1 EP.
So it's not really Al Bumble, it's more EP-ble.
EP. Isn't he a DJ?
Which was also the name for the original website for the area of Peebles in Scotland. E-Peebles. Welcome. You're new online with E-Peebles. The swimming pool will be open at 10 o'clock on Tuesday.
Yes.
Alba.
Yeah. Alba Bumble.
Oh God.
Alba.
You're stretching this now.
Albuquerque. Yes. So, the 1 EP by Mansun.
Yes.
Which we will be reviewing forthwith.
Yes. Having a brief wander around.
Yes.
And then going to bed.
Yes.
Yes, this is from 1996, I believe.
Yes. Mansun from Chester.
Southern posh, then, for Scousers,
yes. Proving that not everything that comes out of Chester is bad.
Okay.
Like Giles Brandreth,
right.
Michael Owen and Hollyoaks, of course.
Well, yeah, I'd agree with you about Hollyoaks.
Yeah. I mean, Giles Brandreth was the MP for Chester, and he was a Tory. So,
yeah, but then he got out of being a Tory before they all become psychopaths.
Yes.
So,
but Hollyoaks is still going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure why, because I don't understand what target audience there is for Hollyoaks these days.
Is it on TikTok these days?
Hollyoaks on TikTok?
I don't know, because I don't think it's actually on the telly anymore.
Is it not?
I don't know. Or maybe it's on E4 or something.
Okay.
Right.
Perhaps it is.
Yes, so they're from Chester.
Sorry, I've just been distracted
by
Alex Christensen in a mirror ball helmet.
That's not a euphemism.
And I don't understand why.
Answers on an email.
Yeah,
to...
perhaps we ought to turn the... that's captivating. And I have no idea why.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
What would we say?
I don't have anything shiny to distract me. the reviews.
Right,
the reviews.
I'll turn it off to something else.
The review's on its way.
Yes, that's on its way. Chester.
We're going to compose ourselves.
Yes, they're from Chester.
Yeah.
But they broke up. They didn't last very long, did Mansun?
No.
And from what I've read, there's some badness.
Acrimony?
Yes, that's the word.
Okay.
Badness between.
Was it a fractious relationship?
I don't really know, but they don't seem to be. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a shame.
Well, pretty much the only thing I knew about Mansun before listening to this EP was Wide Open Space.
Yes, which is their famous song.
Gets played
all the time.
Fairly regularly on Radio X. They're one of the artists on Radio X for whom they only ever recorded one single.
Yeah.
Much like the Futureheads only ever recorded Hounds of Love. Panic at the Disco only ever recorded I Write Sins Not Tragedies. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Let's
have a look through.
Have a drink, and then have we got any news from previous?
I haven't noted
people?
any matters arising.
Right. Okay.
Although the Zootons have got a new single out, which is a cover of Back to Black by Amy Winehouse.
Oh, they paying back.
I don't know if it's sort of like trying to go the other way.
Yes.
They're trying to.
Yes. She did their song.
Yeah.
So they're doing hers.
Yeah. It's
okay.
pleasant enough. It's not earth-shattering. But,
right.
Right.
Right, let's get on and review the EP.
Let's have a look through this. So, the EP the one EP
Yes.
opens with Egg-Shaped Fred.
Yes. With the na-na-na-na-na start.
Yes.
Which I think every Britpop band had a song that started with na-na-nas.
Certainly those who wanted to be crowd pleasers did.
Yes.
That was a fairly common occurrence for them. I've always been partial to a bit of quite sort of funk-led indie.
Yeah, this has got quite a bit of I don't want to say, I don't know if I'd use the word funk necessarily, but there is definitely some extra that's not your Route 1.
It's not purist, is it?
Yes,
No.
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yes, there is something else about it, at least.
You see, I'm convinced that when you get this sort of, because I think it is a lot down to the bass playing.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced when you get this, it's because there's a very convincing bass player in the band who's managed to convince the rest of them that this is a good idea and this is what we're going to do, rather than doing what bass players normally do, which is sat at the back and be shouted at.
Yeah.
So I thought this had echoes of Shed 7.
Oh, yeah.
But rather than sort of earlier Shed 7 stuff, I think this sounds more like things that Shed 7 did after this.
Okay.
I haven't looked up the timeline particularly of it, but this would have been this was 96.
Yes.
So yeah, this would have been sounds like later Shed 7 things to me. But yeah, it's certainly not unpleasant.
I read an interview with one of the members. I've forgotten which one it was now. I should have written it down. Saying that this was the whole egg thing was inspired by I Am the Eggman.
Oh right, okay.
And basically that this was a bit nursery rhymey and kind of playful with the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a line about we'll test his eggability.
Yeah.
Which I think, what does that mean? Easily crackable, soft on the inside, hard on the outside.
Able to tell a good yoke.
Yes. So
hold on, does that mean this is an episode of Albumumble?
Yes.
Oh God. I do apologise.
So it's quite fun. It's quite fun. It is. I have actually written quite funky in the middle part after the first chorus.
Yeah.
And it's quite staccato. There's a lot of singing on one note.
Yeah.
And the instrumentation doing the melody almost.
Yeah.
There's like there's a melody in the background rather than a melody in the lyrics.
Yes.
I think it's quite playful. It's quite unconventional in the lyrics. There's a lot of... There's egg-shaped Fred. I'm trying to find the lyric now. But then they also have things like... There's somebody called Fatima Toothpaste.
Yeah.
Which, I'd love to know if that was a person.
It's starting to sound a bit toast.
Yeah.
And all the...
yes.
All the names that people... Because Fatima Toothpaste.
Yes.
What's she doing round here?
Yes. And also, good use of the word kex.
Yeah.
In a song.
Should be more
very
kex in songs.
very northern.
Yeah.
That. So I think this song got a lot of the heat because obviously it's number one on the EP.
Yeah.
I think it got most of the press and the heat.
Yeah.
Although I think a lot of the other songs do a good job as well.
Yes.
But this was kind of like I wouldn't say this was the famous one, but this was the one that
was best known.
Best known.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see, I felt. I don't think this is preempting things too much. This feels very much like an EP of two halves to me. Because both of the tracks on... Because it was released on 7-inch.
Yes.
Both of the tracks on side A, to me, feel like your fairly straight-up indie songs.
Yeah.
And the side B tracks, 3 and 4 on the CD, feel a little bit more experimental, a little bit more we're exploring where we can go as a collective.
Yes, we might talk about that when we get there.
Yeah. I also wondered from the track titles that this feels a little bit like a set of personality studies.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't, having listened to them, I'm not completely sure that was the intention in the end.
Although I think a lot of the songs on this EP did come about through personal experiences.
Yeah.
Big or small. So yes, it may well have been that they then transformed them into it came about that way.
Yeah.
So yes.
So track 2 is Ski Jump Nose.
Yes. So this has a slightly atmospheric piano tinkling start.
Yeah.
And then goes into a minor guitar feeling, which in itself feels quite 90s.
Yeah.
Very chanty. Feels like it's borrowed from somewhere. It feels like everything you've kind of
familiar.
heard before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything feels very familiar.
Yeah.
There's a nice instrumental balance between the plinky plonky piano and the jangly guitar. I feel though this song could have gone even bigger.
Yeah.
And could have expanded into the space more.
That was the feeling I had, I think, with pretty much every song on this EP.
Yes.
There is space for growth.
Yes.
In all of these. There was also Charlatan's sort of style organ.
Yeah.
Quite low in the mix, but it was definitely there during the intro. I would have liked to have heard more of that.
Yeah, but they were from Northwich, so just down the road, really.
Yeah, so it's just a suburb, really.
Yes, yes.
The song sort of builds all the way through into almost a wall of sound by the time you get to the later part of it. I did wonder, is Ski Jump Nose Forever refrain?
Yeah.
Is that a drugs reference?
I don't know. I don't.
I'm far
actually
too clean
think so.
living to understand these things. So.
Well, I've got the same interview that I got some bits from the last one, and it says here, I was low on inspiration that day. An early contender for a single and a homage to all girls with pointy up noses, I think.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And also he notes that Nick Nack Paddy Whack Chad's got an anorak was the fact that one of the other members turned up that day with a Parker coat on.
Okay.
And just thought, sod that, it makes a good lyric, I'll just stick it in.
Yeah. I wonder if that thing of girls with their noses in the air, I mean, obviously locally to us, we've got Bath, which is somewhere you can quite often go in and see people who think a lot of themselves walking around, and perhaps it's that same sort of observation.
Yeah, but like they're Real Housewives of Cheshire, isn't it? People who think they're a little bit better than they actually are.
The Real Housewives of Ellesmere Port.
Yes.
Okay.
Now then we go on to side B.
Yeah.
with the secret lemonade drinker.
Or the lemonade secret drinker.
Yes. I always have to say it the other way around because all I can think of is the bloody advert.
Which I suspect is the reason that it's not called secret lemonade drinker.
Although he does say it in that order.
Yeah.
In the song.
I don't know whether there's some sort of trademark on that.
Possibly.
That was held
Wouldn't
by
surprise
the
me.
soft drinks manufacturers.
Swirly start. I don't know whether... Did you listen to this with speakers on?
I listened to this through headphones.
Okay, so if you listen to this with the speakers on, I don't know whether it was my version or not, but it's got that swirly swap over between the speakers, which is kind of interesting.
I tell you what, if you've listened to it on speakers, if you listen to it on headphones, it's even more noticeable.
Yes.
There's a stereo effect that starts on the drums in the intro. And then the vocals come in, and they have a different effect to them. So the whole thing feels as though it's swirling around your head.
Yes.
It's really disconcerting.
Yes.
And really unsettling to listen to in that way. Because quite often with some of these, I have listened to them on a portable speaker. Yeah. And of course on that, you don't get very much in the way of stereo.
The first time I ever knew that was a thing... There is a remix version of Circle Square by the Wonder Stuff that was on the Happy Days, a compilation album in the 90s.
Right. Yeah.
And that goes from side to side.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time I'd ever encountered that. And that freaked me out.
Do you want to know where first one was? Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz.
Does that have the same?
It has it has the breakdown in there where it goes do do.
Oh, does that go from side to side?
And the first time I heard that, I was led in bed with my radio at the end of the bed with one speaker either side of me, and just heard this going. Like, wow, that's amazing. But yeah, that's the same sort of effect, but used here to a completely different.
Oh yes.
Intention.
There's a lot of stuff that's very in the mix.
Yeah.
There's an interesting... I've used the word balance in my review here, but I don't think I mean balance, but because everything sounds quite quiet.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes.
Especially compared with the first two songs.
Particularly after Ski Jump Nose, which ends on this sort of big wall of sound.
Yeah.
This is much more Spartan in how it's put together. There's a lot less in the mix here to distract you.
Yes. There is a constant in the background with the drum line.
Yes.
And the kind of tambourine. I don't know if it's one of those tambourines on the drum kit things.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to say how that
is absolutely constant all the way through, and then everything else kind of goes in and out.
Yeah,
a little bit. I've put that this sounds a bit like a jam.
Oh right,
this feels a bit like he's just gone, I've got this drum line, I'm just going to keep on going, and you just do your stuff on the top of it. It feels quite organic in that way.
Yes, yeah. And that's why I said this feels very different to the tracks on side A.
Yes.
This is a different experience.
I like the mention of family fortunes.
Who doesn't like a mention of family fortunes?
Yeah, but...
Except perhaps Max Bygraves.
Yes. Big money!
Here's the thing I'm going to tell you.
Except they missed the jackpot on family fortunes.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
In the song. Was that the Mansun family?
Maybe.
We've got a special indie pop edition of Family Fortunes tonight. We've got the Manson family, and they're playing against the Jean family.
Yes.
So Martin, I understand you're a happy chap now, aren't you? Sorry.
Yes. I guess there is a slight derogatory tone in the song, because they're talking about him kind of not winning family fortunes and being a lemonade drinker wanker.
Yeah.
Hopefully not at the same time.
It could be quite difficult. I mean, there's a fairly good chance you'll spill it if you're doing
Well,
that.
yes, exactly. So, possibly there is a thing about inflated egos and kind of being a bit pompous, but actually not behind the scenes. I've also said that the delivery is slightly Oasis-esque. There is a swarminess, especially near the beginning, where it's kind of like elongated.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean from that. Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't believe so. Track
Okey-dokey.
4 is Thief.
Yes.
This feels like quite a straightforward, simple indie song. Whereas the first two are sort of constructed and put together really well. This feels as though this has been put together in a more straightforward way.
Yeah, I think one of the things I noticed when I listened to this is it feels a little bit strained.
Yeah.
And actually, in the interview that I found, it said, by the time the end of the chorus came, the vocal was so high, I nearly snapped my larynx hitting it. So I think he said earlier he's kept on writing songs in the same key.
Yeah.
But obviously not learning from his mistakes. Now I've got the lyrics on here. This one is this is quite simplistic. It's the same thing, basically all over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's very kind of I hate you.
Yeah.
And apparently this was written about somebody who was a thieving bastard.
Yeah.
It's kind of like very you're horrible, not very nice, and you can kind of hear that in the delivery as well.
Yeah.
That it's almost strained because you don't really want to talk about them, and when you get that kind of feeling. Yes.
There's some very interesting riffs going on through this, and particularly towards the end.
Yes.
It feels almost as though it fades out just as things are starting to get quite exciting, and it feels as though it could head off into sort of an 8-minute epic.
Yes, especially if you are listening to this and you don't know that there is an extra track.
Yeah.
You see that the track lasts like 5.5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And after 2.5, it starts fading out.
Yeah.
And you think, what's going on?
Yeah.
You kind of, you're almost expecting it already to be longer than it is.
Yes.
And it's another one of those ideas that could have been on for another good minute. Yeah. 2 minutes even.
And it does feel as though it's starting to find its feet.
Yes.
As almost a sort of proggy sounding track, and then just fades out, which I was a little bit peeved about. I wonder if somewhere in the vaults whether there's a longer edit of that put together.
Possibly. I've said it feels like a half-developed idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. I will say, actually, I'll say something at the very end because we've still got to talk about the last track.
Okay.
Which is
the bonus track.
The bonus untitled.
Yeah. The little bit of acoustic guitar and production-led instrumental.
And apparently, this was me messing about doing a bluesy acoustic guitar solo for some reason, which has escaped me in the mists of time.
Okay.
And again, this does feel a bit like somebody just jamming away. Yeah. And just stuck it on as a little filler, almost.
Although I don't have a great problem with things like that existing. It's when you're doing obvious filler stuff in an album, it does become obvious. But having your little bits of extra stuff at the end, I've always quite enjoyed.
I suppose something like this, if it's not necessarily your style, that if you put little extra Easter eggs and you get comeback that people like that, or they like that oh, why don't you do something else like that?
Yeah.
It gets a little bit of feedback from the fans.
You see, if
almost
Thief hadn't faded out when it had,
yeah,
I almost wonder whether that would have come back to feed into that bonus track at the end.
Yes.
And that could have been the outro to that. Because I think that could have worked.
Yeah, I think so.
But, anyway, yeah.
Just an extra little thing. There is a compilation best of Mansun, which has some slightly different recordings of these.
Right, okay.
So when you said, are there different versions, there may well be different versions
out there in
elsewhere.
The ether.
But they're not the ones on the EP.
No.
So we haven't reviewed them.
No. We've just gone route one.
Yes. See what we did there.
What was that?
One, because it's one EP.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I am totally intentional.
Yes, totally.
Oh, dear.
Right. And that's that. Righty-ho. What next?
That's far too upbeat for this time of night.
Righty-ho.
Righty-ho.
What next? Where are we going now?
Well, don't we normally say about... Well, that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed listening to that.
I did
something
too,
a little bit different.
And there's a particularly the first couple of songs on there, I felt could quite easily be added onto the Radio X playlist because, by God, they need some diversity on that of not playing the same 20 songs all the time. Yes,
Goody.
so I'm glad to have experienced that. The next one, is an EP by a band who I came across through one of Hugh Stevens's roundtables.
Oh, are they Welsh?
No, they're not
Welsh.
Welsh.
Right, okay.
But you see, Hugh Stevens now does the roundtable show on Six Music.
Oh, does he now?
So he's taken over from Steve Lamack. But,
is it Drenge?
He's we haven't heard from Drenge since Steve went away.
Oh,
since Steve got relegated to just doing Mondays.
Okay.
Sorry, Steve MBE.
Yeah.
Which I've got to be honest, I'm quite pleased about. But, no, they're a band called Adult DVD, which obviously isn't the easiest of things to go looking for.
Don't go Googling that.
No, but they are on Bandcamp.
Okay.
So you can find them on there. It's a fairly safe search on there. And they released an EP early in 2024. Sorry, I'm remembering when this goes out.
Last year.
In 2024 called Next Day Shipping.
Yeah, definitely don't go Googling that on DVD next day shipping.
But I had a quick listen to it because I bought it on Bandcamp Friday back in December.
Yeah.
So I've only listened to it quickly through once.
Right.
And there's only one track I know on there reasonably well. So
okay.
It will be a journey of discovery for both of us.
Oh, nice.
And we can see what we think of that.
Okay. So get on to that.
Yeah.
Before the next podcast.
It's on Spotify. It's on Bandcamp and things like that.
All the other different places.
Yeah.
Where you can find your music.
Yes.
Right. Thank you for listening to Albumble.
Thank you.
Where we review the albums we didn't get round to the first time. I forgot to say that time.
Or in this case, our next
EPs.
one will be a new EP that we didn't listen to the first. But it's only been out a couple of months anyway.
Oh, right. So, okay.
Yeah.
Get down to our price.
Yeah.
And Andy's record.
And the Virgin Megastore.
Virgin Megastore, Tower Record.
Yeah.
W.H. Smith and Boots.
Rival Records, Music
John
Junction.
Menzies.
Yeah, okay. Finished?
No.
Okay. I think we are.
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening. Go and find us on Albumble.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
On street corners.
Yes.
And hidden in bushes.
Yes. We're back to adult DVD again.
in vending machines in Germany.
Yeah, or pizza ones in France.
Yeah. Oh, pizza vending machines.
That's a good band name.
Pizza vending machine. Yeah. Coming up next, we've got the new song from Pizza Vending Machines that's coming up. It's called Death to the Fascist State, and that's from a new EP they've got out. Yeah,
right. Yes,
I don't know if you've noticed, we're tired.
Yes, overtired.
Yeah.
Right, we will see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Later this year, because it's next year,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes, it is next year.
There you go. That's all. I'm glad we've got that sorted out then.
We covered that. Bye.